ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाखाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरून् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सार्वधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धून एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा
कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
Dear devotees, welcome for this wonderful class. So today, last time we had completed shloka number 9 of the second chapter. So today we will start with the 10th shloka of the second chapter. Let's just share with you all the screen. Tammuvacha Rishikesha. You can repeat after me if you desire. Tammuvacha Rishikesha.
प्रमुवाच
नीव भारत
प्रहसन्निव भारत
प्रहसन्नीव भारत
प्रहसन्निव भारत
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
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 विषिदन्तम् इदं वचः
विषिदन्तमिदं वचः
विषिदन्तम् इदं वचः
विषिदन्तमिदं वचः
तमुवाच ऋषिकेश
तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः
प्रहसन्नीव भारत
प्रहसन्निव भारत
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
विषिदन्तमिदं वचः
विषिदन्तमिदं वचः
तमुवाच ऋषिकेश
तमुवाच ऋषिकेश
प्रसन्नम् इव भारत
प्रहसन्निव भारत
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
विषिदन्तमिदं वचः
विषिदन्तमिदं वचः।
Yeah. Translation: O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So the talk was going on between intimate friends, namely the Rishikesha and Gudakesha. So Rishikesha is Krishna's name and Godakesha is Arjuna's name. As friends of them were on, as friends, both of them were on the same level, but one of them voluntarily became a student of the other. Krishna was smiling because a friend had chosen to become a disciple. As Lord of all, he is always in the superior position as the master of everyone. And yet the Lord agrees to be a friend, a son, or a lover for a devotee. He wants him in such a role. But when he was accepted as the master, he at once assumed the role and talked with the disciple like the master with gravity as it is required. It appears that the talk between the master and the disciple was openly exchanged in the presence of both the armies, so that all were benefited. So the talks of Bhagavad Gita are not for only any particular society or community, but they are for all, and friends or enemies are equally entitled. So give me just 1 minute. There is a very heavy rain over here in Pune. I just close the windows of my house. Just give me 1 second, okay? Yeah, Hare Krishna, I'm back again. Sorry. It was raining very heavily, otherwise I would have to wash my whole house with water. Another 1 hour, job it would be. So then now we have over here, if you see that these are the talks between the spiritual master or the Supreme Lord and his friends. So we should not think that, uh, as soon as, we hear about something, we should think about it, then we should perceive a dialogue with ourselves. So when we are speaking about Bhagavad Gita also, we are speaking in terms of application, that how will I apply this Bhagavad Gita in my life? What are the lessons that I will learn? So we have to contemplate, and that is called contemplative study. So which means that, if we have heard in some Srimad Bhagavatam class or in some Bhagavad Gita class, so we can contemplate that, okay, what was spoken, what was the theme of what was spoken, or what was the message given, what were the stories, what were the examples given, and we can share also with somebody, because sharing with somebody such stories and whatever we have heard, and by thinking and rethinking them over and over again, and then we can consider even its application part, that is okay, I want to apply, and once you start applying it in our lives, then gradually there will be a personal realization that will awaken automatically. So we must compare and contrast also whenever we are hearing something, like what was the difference between Dhruva Maharaj also did austerity and Hiranyakashipu also did austerity. So what was the outcome of Dhruva Maharaj's austerity that he did? And Hiranyakashipu also did austerity for 1000 celestial years. So what was the outcome of that? So, or you can say that lamentation. So there are so many great souls who are lamenting, okay? So in this Bhagavad Gita only, Arjuna is lamenting, right? He is lamenting for what? He is lamenting that he does not want to. But when Arjuna lamented, a great soul like Arjuna lamented, then Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, in the Bhagavatam, even Srila Vyasdev, if you see from Canto 1, chapter number 4 and 5, Vyasdev is lamenting. And when he was despondent or he was lamenting, then what happened? That, he started writing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and a very, very beautiful, scripture was written by him. And who enlightened him? Narad Muni. Now, see, if you see over here, Arjuna is also despondent. He does not want to fight, but he has Krishna on his side, and that is why Krishna is smiling. Similarly, when Vyasdev was also despondent, that time his spiritual master Narad Muni, who is born from Lord Brahma himself only, he came and he actually inspired Vyasadev. He also was smiling the same way Krishna was smiling. That, you are such a learned person, but how come you're not able to, know that, you're lamented. So, when even Yudhishthir Maharaj lamented, then Bhishma spoke the Vishnu Sahasranam. Then even when Devahuti lamented, then Kapil Dev, gave her the teachings of Kapila. That's how the book Teachings of Kapila in third canto came about. And there was a series of questions that she asked Kapil Dev. And that's how. So Arjuna's lament, when Arjuna lamented, the Bhagavad Gita came out. And which means that even when, great devotees, they lament, or they are lamenting, that doesn't mean that they are, coming under some mode of ignorance or passion. No, but this lamentation or this despondency or this moroseness or unhappiness, it has been orchestrated by the Supreme Lord so that something good can come out from that particular lamentation. And these great souls are just like, an instrument in the hands of the Supreme Lord, so that something good for the benefit of the mankind can come up. Usko Hindi में बोलते हैं निमित्त मात्र, just an instrument in the hands of the Supreme Lord. So if you see even great souls, so they don't have any deficiency as such. But when you're reading something like this, like, when Prahlad Maharaj's conviction was that he knew that, okay, Krishna is there in this pillar, and Prahlad Maharaj's compassion for the fallen souls, that, okay, I want to do something for this fallen soul. Because Prahlad Maharaj, if you see in Gaur Leela, he was Vasudev the leper, and he wanted that, let me take these sins of all these people on this earth planet, let all of them go back home, back to Godhead, and let me remain over here to suffer for their sins. So this is the compassion some great souls have. So many times, we think that, okay, this knowledge I'm taking, but knowledge, if I want to turn it into realization, यानी साक्षात्कार में मुझे अगर change करना है, then I have to have some formula for that. That some formula should be there, that what will I do that I want to turn this knowledge into realization. Because see, Krishna consciousness is a science, right? And in science, if you see, there are actions and reactions also. So when I take knowledge, I apply it, then it turns into realization. So there is a formula: knowledge plus application is equal to self-realization. So we can think over that, okay, right now I'm sleeping 2 hours in the afternoon, then what should I do? That 2 hours I can utilize something in reading, chanting, or even hearing something. So there is an LCD formula for this. So LCD means, L means learn. Learn means we have to have a very strong desire to give up our lower natures. So if I have this habit of sleeping too much in the afternoon, that is my lower nature. I can 2 hours is not really required. You can have a 20-minute nap or a 30-minute nap also. Those who are working, to unke liye to koi, they have no, choice only. They have to work. So then, you have to have a strong desire. Then after you have a desire that, okay, I want to study Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis. So then plan out systematically. Plan systematically to change that. You can have a very nice, good plan that, okay, daily I'll read 15 minutes or daily I'll read 20 minutes. Then you can even have plans for hearing some lectures that should raise your learning. So you can do Shravanam. You can hear Srila Prabhupada's lectures. You can hear any, your spiritual master's lectures, transcriptions. You can hear these also. For half an hour, you can hear. And to do all this, that requires a determination. So this determination also, when you have this determination, then it brings about a very positive change. So like if you see somebody wants to reduce his weight or her weight, what do they do? That they are determined, okay, I want to reduce 10 kgs, and then they strive for it. That okay, I will eat only, I will reduce on carbs, and I will increase my protein intake, or I will increase my fiber intake. And so this is learning. So this is the learning aspect, the L aspect. Then there is the C aspect. C and it commit. Commit means that I will not sleep in the afternoon now. I commit myself. And then I have utsaha also. I have enthusiasm also, sincerity. And seriously, I execute it. I take a 21-day challenge or a 41-day challenge and I do it. And then after having enthusiasm, then you are endeavoring also. It's not like that कि हाँ बहुत जोश आ गया, जोश में I started, but in 1 week means it just the air is gone from the balloon off, like, or soda water, it just blooped up and then it went down. No, you have to endeavor with intelligence also. You need to see that how can I balance, where is that time I have, where I can remove that 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever. And then you have to be determined also and persistent in that endeavor. So when you're persistent, then that will help. So so when you say commit, then these are all comes under commitment. Utsaha, enthusiasm, endeavor, and determination. All these three things come into picture. Then the third one is L, C, and D. D means do. So what you do is whatever you have desired or whatever you have planned, okay, systematically, that I'll read for half an hour and I'll hear for half an hour, whatever it is like. So then you put your sweat and toil into it and not give up at any cost. That is called patience. So patience till we do not achieve that particular result, and we pray for superior help. Superior help means we pray to Srila Prabhupada, we pray to a spiritual master, we pray to Krishna, like, so we actually seek for blessings and good wishes from all. So now when we do all these things, then that is called a realized wisdom. C was for commitment. Yes, C is for commit. That I will not sleep. I commit to myself. And with commitment, then I have enthusiasm, endeavor, and determination also. So that's how, knowledge will turn into realized wisdom. And then you're applying it also on a daily basis. So, realization just does not mean that it is like parrot like chanting, or personal realization means only we we bolster our faith. We discover what are the pockets of resistance that is bolstering my faith, like. And if we choose to live with that unexamined faith, then we'll become very, very complacent, we'll become very ritualistic, only mechanical chanting, mechanical reading, mechanical application. So if we want to become, good preachers for Srila Prabhupada, because it's Prabhupada's desire that all my students, all my disciples should become preachers. So if we want to become good preachers, then preacher is one who gives Krishna to others. He helps uh, people come closer to Krishna. He makes other people feel closer to Krishna. Then he attracts people through deep conviction. So, if I do not have a deep conviction myself, then what will I go? I'm going to convince the others. So, it is not with some dishonest preaching techniques or something like that. Because Prabhupada, didn't see any degradation in the hippies or the people in the West, as much as he saw that the soul's a natural relationship with Krishna, and that conviction made the Western devotees Krishna consciousness. It made it irresistibly attractive for them. So over here also, if you see in the shloka, that even Krishna is trying to actually now convince, going to tell Arjuna about why he should be fighting. So if you see from the 12th shloka onwards, Krishna is going to start giving Arjuna Jnana Yoga, knowledge of the soul. And this knowledge of the soul, why is it necessary? Theoretically, we know that I am not this body, I am the soul. But we need to know also that application may also that, okay, anything happening in my life, then I am not this body, I am just a soul. And that's how Narada, in the 5th chapter, he starts instructing, Krishna starts instructing from the 12th shloka itself. So I am just doing a little comparison, contrasting, because currently I am personally, my studies on the 5th chapter of the Bhagavatam. So whatever in the morning I have read, I'm just speaking it out as such. So that's how, there is a compare and contrast being made over here, that only the spiritual master can identify what are my faults. Only the spiritual master can know that, okay, how to bring one to the platform of the at least the soul level. So in this particular shloka, this is being said. Let's go to the next shloka. We'll leave the next shloka, okay. You all can unmute yourselves and repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan
Ashoshayan Anavasoštvam
Ashocyan Vashochastvam
Pragyanam Vadamasbhase
Pragnavadam Chitabhasase
Pragnavadamscha bhashase
Pragyavadamscha Bhashase
Gatasun agatasumscha
Gatasumcha
Nanu shochanti pandita
Nanushochan
Asochayan
वाटीमध्ये काढून ठेव
vashochasva.
ते चिटकून बसतं बेटा त्याला ते गरम पण करता येत नाही वाटीमध्ये काढ
Whoever is speaking to the others, please mute yourself if you want to speak to others, because the others are getting disturbed over here. Somebody has some vessel noise in the house. Asochayan anavashochastvam
अशोच्यं ननवशोचस्त्वं
Pragyanavadam bhashase
प्रज्ञावादमश्च भाषते
gatasun gatasumscha
गतासुन्गतासुश्च
नानुशोचन्ति पंडित
नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः।
Thank you, dear devotees. So let's see what the translation is. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. The Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, you are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition. As explained in the later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit, and the controller of both. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology. But he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formularies. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As he did not happen to be very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished one day, vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. So over here, if you see, now it's in the last few classes, what we had discussed is that when Arjuna refuses to fight in the ninth shloka, Sanjay is reporting that okay, now Arjuna has expressed that I will not fight. He told Krishna that I shall not fight. So the only way to curb lamentation, for good is taking shelter of Krishna, like how Arjuna is doing. And this is the Krishna conscious way. Whenever somebody, even Arjuna, when Krishna went from this earth planet to his own abode, Arjuna was very morose. So again, he remembered the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna had given, and again he became jubilant. So in now the 10th shloka, then again Sanjay is reporting that Krishna is smiling in the midst of both the armies, and now Krishna has accepted the role of how a devotee is desiring. He's accepted the role of a guru, and Krishna was smiling because now his friend has chosen to become a disciple. Like as last time also had told that sometimes when we are perplexed and we don't know what to do, then even when we go to a particular friend of ours, she or he smiles and he says, hey, you remember this advice you had only given me once when I was also in the same condition, and now you are only come to ask me. So Krishna over here now in the 10th shloka, friends, he says that this knowledge is not for anybody particular, but this knowledge is for everybody. The Bhagavad Gita knowledge is for everybody. It was not like that, right in the mid of the, army, both the armies, everybody was able to hear what Krishna and Arjuna were speaking. So in those days, they did not have those loudspeakers at all. That okay, lakhs and lakhs of Narayani Sena is there this side, and this side also there is army, and people were able to hear, but they were focused with their ears. People's ears were very sharp, and that's why they were able to hear the message of the Supreme Lord that was given to Arjuna. Now from the 11th shloka onwards, Krishna is going to give the Jnana Yoga. So he's going to say, okay, fight. Why? Because there is no death for the soul. The body can never be, saved. So over here now, Krishna is refuting Arjuna's first argument that he had made in the first chapter, in the two shlokas, 28, 29, and 30. Three shlokas, in fact. So he's making that you have compassion, but you are having compassion for the dress of the dress, that is the body. In fact, you should have compassion for the soul. So in this particular section, Krishna is going to say, so now you have from 11th shloka to the 30th shloka, it's going to say that what is the characteristics of the soul, and what is the soul? The spirit soul is eternal, it is indestructible, and it is temporary also. And one should not be very bewildered by such changes in the body, because the material body is destructible, but the soul is not destructible, and one should remain very much fixed in their duties. So now in 11th shloka, Krishna is chastising Arjuna that you are posing yourself to be wise, but the truly wise people, they do not lament or do not mistaken the body to be self. Many times we have mistaken that, okay, I am not, I am this body, but I am not the body, I am the soul. So those who are wise, they will never lament for the living people or nor for the dead people also. So now over here, in the very first step of teaching, Krishna is dismantling Arjuna's misconceptions that may require some very strong words, some bitter words, some words of wisdom that will be required. So in this 11th purport, if you see, he's saying that who is a learned person? So he's saying that a learned person is one who knows that what is body and soul, and he does not lament for the body at any stage, whether the body is living or whether the body is dead. So knowledge means, the definition of knowledge means only to know matter, soul, and the supreme controller of both, right? So supreme controller of matter is also Krishna, and the supreme control of the soul is also Krishna. And that is why Prabhupada in the purport is writing that there are 3 levels of shastras. So now we have this Jnana Shastra, or the knowledge of the body and the soul, and higher than that is the Dharma Shastra, that Arjuna is recommending of Dharma Shastra that we saw previously also, and some religious principles. And then there is Artha Shastra, there is politics also, and there is sociology also. So now Krishna is saying that you are a fool because your intelligence is being used without considering the essential nature of the soul. So now this particular text, it is like a prelude to the next text that we are going to move forward, which is further establishing the spiritual truth by refuting this bodily concept of life. So there are many arguments that Krishna, or reputations used by Krishna in all the texts, text number 12, 13, 14, 15, to dispel Arjuna's material compassion. So maybe in the next section I will give these refutations, because I'll have to just go and do my homework of having those refutations and all. So if you see in this that in this 11th shloka, if you see, there Prabhupada is primarily actually speaking about the body and the soul, and he's speaking that, okay, how important is the body, how we should not mistaken the body, because the whole living existence that is there is very subtle thing. We have this body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether, and this is the gross body. But behind this, there is another body which is called the subtle body. The subtle body is made up of mind, intelligence, and ego. So when we give up this gross body, then the subtle body carries me to another gross body. And when this body is lifeless, then that subtle body is not lifeless. Because just like, at night when I'm sleeping, when my gross body is asleep, then the subtle body is working. And that is why, many times we dream. Why? Because our subconscious mind is still awake. So the subtle body is carrying me to the next life. And then if you see, Krishna says in the uh, in the 8th chapter, sixth shloka, he says that yam yam va, he says that ant kale cha mam evam smaranam muktva kalevaram yah prayati sa mad bhava yati asti atra samshay. He says that one may raise a question that how to go about approaching this whole concept of bodily concept of life. So somebody might just say that, okay, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits this body, then that state he will attain without fail. So the subtle body, which is mind, intelligence, in ego, and when these three things, these are called actually the psychic life, it is absorbed into a certain kind of thought. Then when the dying man, he's thinking about those thoughts, so then what will happen? He gets a similar body. For example, at the time of death, I'm thinking about, Prabhupada generally gives this example. If at the time of death, I'm thinking about my dog, because in America people love dogs a lot and they keep dogs as pets. So Prabhupada was saying at that time that somebody will say, okay, my dog, and he dies in that particular consciousness. So in the next life, then he will become, a dog. So, so then, then we shall come to make, this progress in the Bhagavad Gita, that, okay, like just the air is passing over the rose tree, it is carrying some flavor of the rose, and the air passing over some very dirty, filthy place and carrying the flavor of that particular filthy place. So the air in itself is pure, but just because it is passing over a particular condition, it is carrying that flavor. Similarly, our mind also, intelligence also, and ego, it is carrying the flavor of our present activities to the next life. And that is the subtle mystery of transmigration of the soul from one body to another body. It is carrying all whatever I have thought. So now, if this life we purify, just like, this rose, then in the next life, we shall get a body which is full of flavor. And if in this life we practice, bhakti or devotion to the Supreme, then the next life is also to become the associate of the Lord. Where Brahma says in the Brahma Samhita, he says that Chinta Mani Prakalasatma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriteshu Surabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrasata Samrabha Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He says that uh, I worship this Govinda, who is the first progenitor and who's tending the cows, and he's actually fulfilling the desires of all the living entities in the spiritual world. And this spiritual world is built of gems, jewels, and surrounded by millions of kalpa vrikshas, wish fulfilling trees. And this particular dham is always surrounded by many pure devotees, and all them, all of them are serving the Supreme Lord. So then, when we are thinking in those thoughts, when I said that anta kale cha mame, the time of death, whatever I'm thinking, then I will be transferred to that planet. So if I'm doing bhakti my whole life, then I'll be transferred to either Vaikuntha or Goluka. So, if I want to be degraded, then I prepare for such a life, for degradation, right? For the next life. And if I want to elevate myself to the highest perfection of life, then I will associate with Supreme Lord, I'll associate with the devotees, I will associate with the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and I'll prepare myself like that. So even, in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, Pitrun Yanti Pritru Vrata, Bhutani Yanti Bhutejya, Yanti Mad Yagno Apimam. He says that those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who are worshipping, their Pitrus or ancestors, and they will go to that, Pitrulok. Okay. And those who are worshipping all this, ghosts and spirits and yakshasas and rakshasas, then they will go Bhutejya. They will, they will go to that, planet where a person will take birth among the yakshasas and rakshasas and all. And then Krishna is telling that, he's saying that, but those who will worship me, mat yagno api mam, those who will worship me, they will live with me forever. So if somebody has this desire to go to moon or sun, planet, or any destination they want, then they will worship those people and they will go over there. But we have to understand that if my aim is to go, if I'm trying to go to moon, planet, there is life, so we'll cultivate we'll cultivate ourselves with that same thought, that okay, I want to go to the moon, planet, and I want to, so we have to, if I want to go to the moon, planet, then I have to sufficiently hear about it. Then again, I have to think about that particular planet, that okay, I'll be going to such and such a planet or something like that. So for example, if I want to go to, California from here, okay, but I have never ever seen California. So then what will I do? I will start thinking, okay, California must be like this, California must be like that. Then I'll hear it from my friends that, okay, California could be like this. California can be, this, maybe that way. So in that way, we just keep on thinking that, okay, I want to reach to a particular planet, then I have to act accordingly. So now, suppose if we are reading the description of a particular place like Goloka and we're thinking of going over there, then we'll prepare ourselves to go over there. Like, we're saying that, okay, that dham is Chintamani dham, where I will be going. Okay, Chintamani means what? Touchstone. So, and there are kalpavriksha, there are desire wish fulfilling trees, and there are laksha, there are so many surabhi cows, laksha suravetushu surabhi, there are so many surabhi cows, and there is Lakshmi, this goddess of fortune is over there. So, and there is Govindam Adi Purusham, the original personality of God is residing personally in that particular abode. So then I will prepare myself, yes, I want to go over there, I want to go over there. So there are then so in this particular shloka, in this 11th shloka, it's saying that gatasumsha. So there are two types of bodies, that I have now entered into. One is the gross body, and the gross body is actually, dead, gone. So, and now the subtle body is carrying a particular person from that gross body to another, gross body. So the subtle body is not lost life. The life is there. But here now Krishna is saying that either of the gross body or the subtle body has to be left. So when we get liberation, then that subtle body, that egoistic life, that has to be, left. Now that condition, this body condition has to be left. So then why to cry? I'm leaving my gross body, but I'm entering into another gross body with my own subtle body. And one day we have to leave this subtle body also. I have to actually leave this subtle body also. Neither gross body nor subtle body. Then what body will I have? I will have a body which is Sat, Chit and Ananda. I will have a body which is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And therefore Krishna is saying that a learned man does not lament for this particular body. Either the gross body or the subtle body he does not lament. So the whole question is that the soul is different from this particular body. The whole question Krishna solved just in one word, that agatasun. He's saying that, okay, anybody who's learned, he does not mourn. He has no concern only with his body, because he's concerned only with the activities of the soul. So, you are speaking so many things, and if these of, friends die, and Arjuna was actually, arguing, okay, these friends will die, their wives will become widow, and what will happen to them. So these are all according to, you're showing, compassion to the dress of a drowning man. You're not showing compassion to the soul, and you are speaking only in bodily relationships. So that is why you're thinking that you are very learned, but indirectly Krishna is saying that you're a fool, number one, because the whole conception, your whole conception is based on your body, and the whole conception of this argument with Krishna was on the body. But Arjuna was posing himself to be a learned man. So if somebody has got this conception of the identification of this particular body, then he is not a learned man. The people might have a lot of academic education, they might be PhDs, MA, BA, or whatever, they might be doctors, but if anybody has this identification of the body, then he's not a learned man. This is what Krishna is trying to say in this shloka. And Krishna, this is the first instruction. And then slowly, if you want to make progress towards spiritual advancement of knowledge, then this is the preliminary knowledge we must have, that I am not this body. And this is like, you can say that I am not this body. Is Prabhupada says that this is the ABCD of spiritual life. So your spiritual life starts only from where you say that, okay, I am not this body, I am the soul. So there is a shloka in the 10th chapter of the, 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, where he says that yasyatma buddhi, what is that shloka? यस्यात्म बुद्धि कुणपे त्रिधातुके स्वधि कलात्रादिषु भौम इज्याधि यत्तीर्थ बुद्धि सलिलेन कर्चिः जानेष्व अभिज्ञेषु स एव गोकरः. He says that yasyatma buddhi, those who have this body, those who have this knowledge that I am the body, so identifying himself with this inert body which is made of kaph, pith and vat, these three elements that are there, and who's assuming that his family, his wife, they are permanent, and who is thinking that, okay, where he's saying that swadhi kalatra dhishu bhauma. So he's saying bhauma means earth. Somebody is thinking, and kalatrishu means wife. So he's thinking this wife, his family, is permanent, or he's thinking that this bhauma, this earth is permanent, and this is mine, and this is the birthplace, and it is worshipable. And one who's seeing this pilgrimage as just merely water, who's saying yat tirtha buddhi, he is seeing this tirtha with this buddhi, he's seeing that he has no idea that what is, he just salile thinking that this, with his buddhi is thinking that this this tirtha sthal is only water. And such people, they never identify with the soul. They will identify only with the body. They'll identify with their people. And even those who visit those spiritual places, but they do not hunt for such spiritual truth, or they do not meet people who are giving that spiritual truth. So that is why such people are Gokaraha. Gokara means no less than cow or an ass. So this is what Prabhupada writes in that purport, that yasyatma buddhi kunape tri dhatuke. Kunapi means this bag that is made of these three elements, kaph, pith and vap. So people do not know that, okay, if anyone is, he's identified with this body made up of air, fire, earth, water, and water, and it is made up of three things now. Like so, and all the byproducts also. They okay. These king's men are mine. Arjuna is singing. These king men are mine, and this family is mine, and these are my brothers, and these are my relatives, and these are all. He's saying that these are all bodily relationships, and so this whole principle is actually wrong. That I am this body, and now from this expansion of this body, the whole thing, is also actually false. So I am not this body, and those who have expanded from me also, like my children, they are there, my grandchildren, they are also the body. And this, this word that, I am, like, so this is a very false impression. Prabhupada says that this whole world is going on this only thing that I'm finding. So, and that is why if you see, Prabhupada is saying that, nations are fighting. Russia is fighting with America. America is fighting with China. China is fighting with the whole world. So one who is identified with his body, which is made up of, these elements, and then that person, he is very much attached. And anybody who is attached, then he will always be, he will always be uh, going into the cycle of birth and death again and again, again and again. So that's why he says that yasmatma buddhi punapetri dhatuke swadhi kalatra dishu bhauma yajadhi. Bhauma means, people are very much attached to their land also. And people are very much this with their land, that okay, I was born on this land and I will die on this land and I will not die on any other land. Like if you see even the Russian philosophy, okay, they have no meaning for God, but they have every meaning for their land. And that is why you see everybody wants to fight for their land. They want to, they want to enter into military, and they want to sacrifice anything for that land. So one who is identifying this body, he is thinking that the bodily offshoots are also his own men. Land is also, from which this gross body is grown, it is worshipable. So even, if you see in the Christian world, they have this thing called, what they have, this water of, I think it is Jordan River. Yeah, Jordan River. It is considered very sacred. And even the Hindus, they are also going on some pilgrimage. They're going to some sacred place to take a bath, to take a holy dip and all. But, the real meaning of going to a sacred place is that we find out some intelligent people, scholars who have spiritual knowledge, who are living over there, who can give me some higher knowledge, and I can associate with them. I can get some knowledge with them. That is the main purpose. Otherwise, people go to Vrindavan, they go to Bake Bihari, then from Bake Bihari, they go to drink lassi chaat and everything. They eat that everything and they come back. So there is no meaning of going to Vrindavan, to a holy place. Like so, then in Vrindavan, there are many great scholars, there are many saintly persons. So people should go to such places, Vrindavan, Mayapur, taking a bath in the Ganga, and inquiring from such people that, okay, how will I advance in my spiritual life? How will I, please the Supreme Lord? What should I do to more and more associate with the pure devotees of the Lord? What should I do? Then if he has attachment for that pilgrimage, for only taking bath, but he has no attraction for learning something over there, then such people are called what? Go Karaha. Go Kara means, go means cow and Kara means ass. They're called no less than cows and asses. Like so, one who's identifying with his, body. So practically, this whole world is moving as a civilization of cows and asses, because the whole thing is, they're identifying with the body. The center is this body, an expansion of the body, an attraction of the whole thing is there. So that is why, if all these sacred places, whenever we go to Vrindavan, we go to Mayapur, we should always associate with the pure devotees over there. Whatever they are telling, you should write down and come back to our own towns and apply it into our own lives, and that's how that knowledge will turn into realization. So this whole basic principle of spiritual advancement of knowledge. So one should be first convinced that I am not this body. And then the other thing is that the spiritual knowledge will start beginning from there, that I am not his body. And this is the basic principle. And we will find this basic principle even in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna in the 18th chapter of the 54th shloka is saying that Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma na shoshati na kanchati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labhate param. So he's saying that Brahma Bhuta Prasan Atma. He's saying that anybody who is a Brahma Bhuta means somebody who's on an absolute platform. So if somebody knows who the absolute is or who's on an absolute platform, then what will happen to him? Then he will be completely prasannatma. He'll always be jollyful. He'll be always joyful. And na sochati, who will never, sochati means lament. So who does not lament, na kanchati, who does not even desire, and sama sarveshu bhuteshu, that particular person who is always equally disposed to all the living entities, कि no, ये मेरा मित्र भी नहीं है और ये मेरा शत्रु भी नहीं है, वो अजात शत्रु है, is अजात शत्रु. So then what happens? Mad bhakti labhate param. For such a person, my devotional service, that pure devotional service, is easily attained. So Krishna is saying that this is the spiritual advancement that person. So unless one understands himself, that I am not this body, I am the soul, he cannot understand God. And then if he is misunderstanding his position, so then that will be very dangerous for him. So for example, somebody is teaching very nicely, but because he is teaching, we know, okay, who I am, who I am not. But what I am can be known only from the Bhagavad Gita. That I am not this body. I am the soul. And that knowledge, at least theoretically, one must accept that I am not this body. So we have, in algebra, we have, let x be equal to so and so value. Let y be so and so value. So now Krishna is, describing what is the position, that I am not this body. Okay. Now, actually, I am not this body. That's all right. But what is the next thing that Krishna wants to say? The Krishna wants to say that we must know that Krishna is saying that, because see, these are the words of the Supreme Lord. He's saying that this is Bhagavan Uvach. So Bhagavan is who? He's an authority. So who's telling us? The authority is telling us. Bhagavan is telling us. So when we understand that, okay, the Supreme Lord is giving us instructions, and there cannot be any mistake in the Supreme Lord's instructions. So let me start abiding. There can be no imperfection. So there will be no. So see, what is the difference between human beings and the Lord? Okay, there are 4 defects that the human being has and the Lord does not have. So the first defect is that the human beings have imperfect senses. Okay. For example, imperfect senses means what? What is beyond this wall, I cannot see. And I am staying very much close to the temple right now. So, but there is a bell ringing in the temple, but I cannot hear that bell. So my senses are imperfect. Or behind this wall, what is there? I don't know. Okay. Or, there are certain, there is a very nice tree, planted in my society, which is called the champa tree. But that champa tree is quite down, but I cannot smell the flower of that particular champa tree. Then that is why my senses are imperfect. Then I am always into an illusion. The human beings, those who have imperfect sense, then I am always in illusion. And then I often get cheated also, and there is a tendency that I might cheat others also. So this is the third imperfect. And then the fourth is that what is the fourth one? Imperfect senses, illusion, cheaters, and then tendency of committing mistakes. So I commit many mistakes, but the Supreme Lord never commit mistakes. I have imperfect senses, but the Supreme Lord does not have any imperfect senses, because all his senses are perfect. I might be an illusion now, Okay, thinking one thing to be another. Like just in a desert, I'm thinking that sand as water. But and that is called illusion. So for me, illusion is what? My illusion is that I am this body and I am under that illusion. And this is a false thing that, because I don't have any knowledge. And that is why I'm thinking that, I am, this body, or I am the president of the country, or I am the prime minister of the country. That is why. And on a daily basis, so many mistakes I am committing. But Krishna does not commit any mistakes. And cheaters and cheated. So, what is that called? Sanskrit word for cheater is called vipralipsa. So, tendency for cheating. So, we might cheat somebody might cheat us also. But the Lord does not cheat anybody and he does not even get cheated. That is the difference between, these are the four things that are distinguishing me from the Supreme Lord. So that is why if you see that now if I want to, go ahead and if I want to remove my this illusion, so I have to come to this stage where when I get liberated, then I will come out of these four defects also and take full shelter of the Supreme Lord. And that's where, well, I will be completely, stated, because you see, this world is very miserable. Okay. And every person is infected, but devotee is never infected. And the entire world for him, will be like a Vaikuntha only. So, such a stage, the Brahmabhuta Prasanatma stage can be achieved only by the mercy of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who preached this pure devotional service in this particular age. So, I rest my speech over here. If anybody has any questions, comments, or queries, you all can ask.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. It was a wonderful session, Mataji, very informative. Mataji, I want to ask that what is the difference between Vaikuntha and Goloka, and where we should हमें कहाँ जाना चाहिए, मतलब वैकुंठ या गोलोक, कहाँ पर हमें?
Yeah, this is a very nice question that you have raised. Even I had this question when I was new to Krishna consciousness. So now if you see, this whole spiritual world, it is like a lotus flower, sorry. And this lotus flower is like, Golok Vrindavan, and, there are petals and petals and millions of petals. So there are many Vaikuntha planets. And every incarnation of the Supreme Lord has one Vaikuntha planet. So there is a Vara Vaikuntha also, there is a Ram Vaikuntha also, there is a Narsimha Vaikuntha also. So there are many Vaikuntha planets. Now, it will depend that what is your relationship with the Supreme Lord. That in what relation are you worshipping the Supreme Lord? So, for example, somebody is a very ardent bhakta of Lord Ram. So he will go to the Lord Ram's abode, where he will be able to worship Lord Ram in awe and reverence. Awe and reverence यानी मान सम्मान में, वो worship कर पाएंगे भगवान जी को. That way. Somebody is very much attracted to the Narsim avatar of the Supreme Lord. So then he will go to that particular planet. But somebody who is very much attached to the two-handed form of Krishna, then he will go to the Goloka planet. And all these have equal potency. So what is the difference between Vaikuntha planet and what is the difference between Goloka planet? Let's understand that. In Goloka, the Supreme Lord enjoys with his devotees in 5 rasas: Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Madhurya, and what else? Vatsalya. Vatsalya means motherhood, like how Mother Yashoda is in Vatsalya Bhav. That way. In Vaikuntha, there is only Sakhya and Dasya. There is no Madhurya. There is no Vatsalya also much. There is only Dasya and Sakhya. Sakhya also very less. Dasi is more over there. So over there, Krishna is more worshipped, like, how a king is given, awe and reverence, man samman jisko kehte hain. So now Krishna, as his original form in Golok Vrindavan, as the two-handed form, Sham Sundar form of the Supreme Lord. So I'll give you an example what Prabhupada also gives. Okay. So there is a judge of a high court, and he goes to the court every day. He gives judgment over there. And that same judge, when he comes home, he becomes very much sold out to his grandchildren. And when his grandchild tells him that, Dadaji, I want, please become, horse, I will ride on you. So this judge, he bends down, he puts his, hands on the floor, and he becomes like a horse, and that little child climbs up, and, they play horse. Okay. So similarly, Krishna in Goloka is like, very much intimate with his family member. Like the judge is very intimate with his family member, that he becomes very sold out to his grandchild also, or to his children also. They're very intimate, a very close knit, they are. Like, so even in Goloka, one example I'll give you all, that, Krishna is very friendly to his Gop Sakhas and all. So when they are playing, so when Mother Yashoda calls, Krishna is saying that, hey, I'm not going to give my den today. I will give it tomorrow. And all these, Gop Sakhas and all his coward boys and all his friends, what they tell him that, you come tomorrow, we will see you. How you come to play? And they, they slap him and then they send him. Saying, tomorrow dare you come. Now see, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And here are the cowherd boys who are, sitting on his shoulder, climbing on his shoulder, beating him, sitting on his shoulder. And this is that intimate relationship the cowherd boys have with Krishna. Or in that matter, even the gopis. The gopis also, make Krishna wear that gopi dress or a ghagra. And they tell him, okay, turn around, he will turn around. Dance like that, he will dance like that. So the Supreme Lord is sold out to his devotees in, Golok Vrindavan. And just as the way they want Krishna to dance, Krishna dances to their tune. But now in Vaikuntha planet, in Vaikuntha Loka, with Lord Ram, you cannot be intimate. With Lord Ram, aap man sammani. As soon as you see Lord Ram, you will do Dandavat, you will do Shashtang Pranam, you will do Panchang Pranam, and you will have that awe and reverence all the time. You cannot be very intimate with Lord Ram, but yes, the Dasya Bhav will be there for you, that yes, he is my master and I am his servant. This is the Bhav. But in Goloka, this bhav is not there. This bhav is very much intimate. Mother Yashoda also in that matter. Mother Yashoda does not know that this child of mine is the supreme personality of Godhead. She says, no, some black magic has happened, I am going to, she calls, some people, that something has happened to my child and all. So she is thinking, because over there, Krishna, though, does not Krishna know that I am the supreme personality of Godhead and I should behave like one over there? But there are the Achintya Leela Shakti, the Yogamaya potency of the Lord, which is acting over there, which covers even Krishna's Bhagavata or the supremacy of the Lord, so that he and his devotees both can enjoy that particular pastime. So, for example, if Krishna knows I am the supreme personality of Godhead, will he get scared of Mother Yashoda's stick that she comes behind him taking that stick? No. He will say, hey, you don't you know? I am the supreme personality of Godhead. How dare you come with a stick and beat me up? So then that pastime, that relationship with his mother, he cannot relish. Because when he does that mischief of breaking the pots and stealing the butter, and then Mother Yashoda is seriously with a stick, and her concern is also that कि दिन ब दिन इसकी मस्ती बढ़ते जा रही है, इसकी शरारतें बढ़ते जा रही है. Now I should control him. because he will just be out of control. And here the Supreme Personality of Godhead is running. Mother Yashoda is chasing. Many yogis from many, births and years and thousands and millions of years are trying to, attain the Supreme Lord. And here Mother Yashoda is running in Krishna, who even fear personified, भय के भी देवता जिनसे भयभीत होते हैं, or who fears the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is fearing Mother Yashoda's one stick, and he's running. His kajal is, dripping from his eyes, and he's seriously scared of Mother Yashoda. So now who is acting over here? In between the Achintya Leela, the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord, Bhagwan ki Achintya Shakti, जिससे हम, we cannot even imagine with our limited senses these pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And that's how in Goloka, that intimate relationship the Supreme Lord has with his devotees. And Mother Yashoda, then finally she binds him. And the Supreme Lord also, was, it's not like that he was rejoicing, but he was seeing the surrender, and at last she surrenders and she endeavors, and then Krishna gives mercy and he gets bound up. Otherwise, who can bind the Supreme Lord? Nobody can bind him. It's not possible for him to bind anybody to bind the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is only bound by the love of his devotees. He's sold by the love of his devotees. So this is the thing. Does that answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, beautifully explained, Mataji. माताजी, लेकिन मुझे ये पूछना था, तो हमें दो क्वेश्चंस है। हमें वैकुंठ जाने के लिए हम 16 राउंड्स वगैरह करते हैं या गोलोक जाने के लिए? और दूसरा है कि जो लोग वैकुंठ को जाते हैं, क्या उन्हें फिर से रीबर्थ लेना पड़ता है मानव शरीर में?
हाँ, good question. So, see, when we are chanting now, गोलोकेर प्रेम धन हरि नाम संकीर्तन, तो ये कहाँ का है? गोलोकेर प्रेम धन हरि नाम संकीर्तन, दिस महामंत्र इज गोलोकेर प्रेम धन है, ये वहां का प्रेम धन है. तो इफ आई वांट टू गो टू गोलोक, आई एम चैंटिंग द हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र. बट इफ somebody has reached Vaikuntha planet, so over there also if he is desiring that, okay, I want to reach Golok, then just as on earth I am doing Hare Krishna Mahamantra, I am following this same, because the means and the goal is the same. यहाँ पे भी मैं सेवा कर रही हूँ, यहाँ पे भी मैं chanting करूंगी, and even in Goloka I am chanting the same mantra. I am serving the Supreme Lord. So even from Vaikuntha, if somebody wants to go to Goloka, it is very much possible he can go by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He can easily go over there. Okay, Preeti Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat. Swati Mataji, you had some question. Your hand is up.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm having a doubt. This you told about God's subtle body. After death, our soul, if we are going to Goloka, then what will happen to this subtle body? Means it will carry from one birth to next birth. No? While traveling to Goloka, what will happen to this subtle body?
Yeah, I did mention in the class, maybe, it must have just skipped from your that. Maybe kuch hua hoga that you must have not heard. Let me repeat that again. So this subtle body and my gross body will get finished over here only. And then I have another body that is a body full of eternity, knowledge and bliss. Sat Chit Anand ki body mujhe milegi. I'll get that particular body. And via that body, then I can serve the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. So see, for example, okay, I'm on this earth planet, so I have got this body. When I go to the moon planet, I need to have another body to go to the moon planet. Or if I want to go to Mercury planet, then I need to have another body for that. But to go to Golok Vrindavan, then I need a body which is full of eternity, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. And that's how when I reach Golok, I will have that body. So in this current body, there is blood, pus, and urine. But in the spiritual world, when I'll have a body, that body is full of fragrant, liquid flowing throughout my body, which does not smell, which does not have a filthy smell, which does not stink, which does not become stale, which remains ever youthful and ever young. That is why that particular body is full of eternity, full of bliss, and full of knowledge. And with that body, it is only if suppose somebody is bypassing me, that person in that spiritual world is also, having but that some very nice fragrance. And every body in the spiritual world has a different fragrance over there. It's not like that same fragrance will be there, for all the, souls in the spiritual world. There'll be different, aromas or different flavors of aroma in that different bodies over there for that particular soul. Swati Mataji,
Mataji,
answer your question.
Mataji, it means that soul becomes Satchitaranga.
Yes. Soul becomes, see, like, when we say, we have a, saying that I and my father are one. But I and my father are one means what? We are one in consciousness. So I want to serve my father and my father wants to serve me. I want to serve the Supreme Lord. And in return, the Supreme Lord also wants to serve me. But we don't expect that, okay, I'm serving the Supreme Lord because tomorrow he will serve me. No. Then that is unalloyed devotional service. We do it completely without any motivation or without any interruption, our spiritual life, that way. Swati Mataji, does that answer your question?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Not Pranam. Sejal Mataji, you had a question?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Ma'am, I had a doubt. आपने कहा था कि if at the end deathbed, if we remember a dog, in the next birth we may enter into the soul of dog. But अपने जो कर्मा है, the good deeds, the bhakti, yog, नाम स्मरण, entire, I think so, my entire life has been spent on that. Just that fraction of second, if I do a wrong thinking, so what my will my good deeds help me in that?
Very good question. Very good question. So see, my whole life I have done good bhakti. I have been a very good student of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and I have followed all the regulative principles nicely. And if for some reason all of a sudden I die and my consciousness is not in the Supreme Lord, then Krishna says that I will enter into the mind of that devotee and I will force him to remember me, via which he can come to me. Krishna is not a sadist God, okay? Krishna is a person, even slightest you are doing, he's taking it in a very positive sense. Even if you're thinking something, he takes it in a positive sense. Even like, for example, in the beginning of your Krishna consciousness, you must have even appreciated something about even a neophyte devotee. He has taken that also positively, and he has helped you, excel in your bhakti. Even if you have appreciated somebody's kirtan, wow, they're singing such nice kirtan. You have appreciated that. Krishna has considered that also, and saying, "Arey, she's getting interest in me. She's getting interest in the kirtan. Let me help her. Let me, help her to get uplifted in Krishna consciousness." So Krishna at every point, हर चीज he is taking that. If she's doing something, let me see इसको positively मैं कैसे ले सकता हूँ. And if he is accepting, means what? Mercy is flowing. So Krishna will accept definitely. Why will he not reward you? If the whole life you have done, chanting for 16 rounds, following 4 elective principles, reading, serving, and everything you have done, then why will Krishna not come at the time of death? Yes, definitely he will come at the time of death to save his pure devotee. Okay, Sejal Mataji, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much, Mataji. I really understood. मतलब our basic
Acha.
thing is we should be God devoted.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Beautifully explained, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Jyoti Mataji, you had some question? Jyoti Mataji, you had some question?
Yeah, Mataji, sorry. I thought I was on unmute. In this situation, the example which you gave now, I mean the explanation which you gave now, I think Gajendra ka story is apt for this situation, right?
Yes, yes, yes. That Gajendra being in the body of an elephant,
Yes.
and previously he was Maharaj Indradumna. But
Mhm.
because of the curse of what is the Rishi's name? It was, I think, Agastya Muni, or who it was.
Mhm.
I forget the name of the Rishi. So he gave a curse that, okay, you become an elephant in the next birth. And Maharaj Indradumna very rightly also accepted it. Okay, if it is your desire, let me become an elephant. And then the crocodile, came for 1,000 celestial years. The crocodile and the elephant, they were, fighting in the water. But because the crocodile is an animal, the water animal, his strength, increases in the water. And because the elephant is a land animal, but somehow or the other, because Maharaj Indradumna had worshipped the Supreme Lord selflessly in the previous birth, at the very right time, he remembered his previous birth. Being an animal, he was able to remember his previous birth, and he immediately from the pond of that particular, water pond that was there, he immediately picked up a lotus flower and he held it and he called out, whoever you are, the Supreme Lord, and wherever you are, I worship you, you please come. And over there, the Supreme Lord, without even wearing his chappals, and Garuda's speed was a little, not up to the mark what Krishna's, anxiety was. So Krishna said, Garuda, you go. I will just, go with high speed, with Rajdhani Express, or even more than that, within nanoseconds, Krishna was there in front of Gajendra. Immediately, he slashed the crocodile's, head and saved Gajendra from there, from those clutches. Immediately. So this is the Supreme Lord. This is His glory. This is His, magnanimity. That He can save anybody, whoever remembers Him. He has saved even Draupadi. For Draupadi, she was relying on all her, family members. She was relying on Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, and the Pandavas. But the moment she took the highway express way, with her tears, she took that express highway. Immediately, Krishna, within nanoseconds, expanded himself into a sari and he has saved her. This is our Supreme Lord. Then why will not, the Supreme Lord come for us? Definitely he will come. But provided we have been very honest enough to think. So, even in this connection, when you see Khatwanga Maharaj had very few, only, some six minutes or something like that. In those 6 minutes, he has perfected his life because he asked the boon to the demigod. Tell me how much of time is left for me to die. They said 6 minutes. Immediately, within 6 minutes, if he can perfect his life, then we do still have so much of life, lifetime, maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line we have, and we can still perfect our lives in those. And Krishna is seeing sincerity. Kitni sincerity se she is worshipping me. Kitni sincerity she has, shedded of her sense gratification. Kitni sincerity se she has shedded of her ego, anarthas. How much is she interested in me? How much attachment she has? How much bhav she has, how much ruchi, interest she has in me, how much love she has for me, how much selflessly she is loving me. It's not like that I am loving the Supreme Lord for some artha dharma kama moksha. Dharma artha kama moksha. It's not a ritual that I'm doing. It is not for money that I'm doing. It is not for some, religiosity or social thing I am doing. I am worshipping the Supreme Lord because I want to worship Him, and He is my master. He is my Lord of for eternity, and I have an eternal relationship with only Him and not with anybody else, and that is why I want to worship Him. So this is what the sincerity the Lord sees throughout your life.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah. Okay. So, dear devotees, actually, I'm very sorry. we have an immediate Bhagavatam reading class, and the other students of the class are waiting for the Bhagavatam reading. They're eager to read the Bhagavatam. So thank you so much. You all have any questions, you all can personally put it to me on the, my chat box or in my WhatsApp group. I'll be more than happy to help you all out. Yeah, Vijay Mishra Prabhu, thank you so much. It was Agastha Muni. Yeah, Agastha Rishi had cursed. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna. So the class remains the same.